In this video, I'm going to show you everything you might need when starting your 3D printing adventure, right here on Zachary's 3D Prints. Hello, I'm Zachary and this channel is about 3D printing with tips, tricks, tutorials, how to review news, anything 3D printing or 3D printer related you can find right here on this channel. If you're new here and not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and hit the notification button to get the latest videos right in your notifications. And thanks for being here. So, depending on which kind of 3D printing you want to do, this video is specifically about Cartesian 3D printing. I also want to cover resin 3D printing, but since I have no resin printer, I cannot do anything about that. In later stage on this channel, you might find some resin printing as well. But here we start just with the Cartesian 3D printer. So as you can see, this was my first 3D printer. It is not a Prusa i3 MK2 3D printer. No, this is a CTC Prusa i3 MK2 3D printer. I'll show you how exactly my 3D printer looked like. And as you can see in the picture, it was made out of laser cut plywood, just normal threaded rods, anything what you can find, and this printer was around the $90 US. I bought it, I had 2 years, a lot of fun with it, not really, because that machine had a lot of problems. Still, it did print something, but it didn't make that many hours than my Ender 3 Pro from Creality. So this is a Cartesian style 3D printer. It moves over the x-axis and the bed moves over the y-axis and it moves up and down over the z-axis. This is a direct drive extruder, which means that the filament goes through a stepper motor, through the hot end, and then it pushes out of the nozzle. The heat bed is heated up till a temperature of 45, 50, maybe 60 degrees Celsius, and then the nozzle is going to print something on your heat bed. Your heat bed can have multiple different kind of materials. I've got a magnetic surface on my aluminum heat bed, and there I've got such a PEI spring steel sheet. What is it? It's something where when I'm going to print something on it, it will stick very nicely. Maybe you have some other materials where you can print on. One of the things is glass, but you can also have a magnetic bed. For the Easy Treat X1, I've got something like this. When you buy a Ender 3 Pro or a normal Ender 3 or maybe some other Creality 3D printer, it comes with a magnetic bed. You print something on it and then you flex it right off and then you can start a new print. So where to buy a 3D printer? There are online shops like Amazon, AliExpress, GEARBEST, I don't know many other names like that, but there you can find 3D printers. Prices can go from 50, maybe 80 US dollars until 200, 300 US dollars. Depending on the reviews that you will see on those kind of sites, you have to make your own decision which kind of 3D printer to buy. If you just want to try out 3D printing, just find a decent 3D printer with good reviews about it. You can also look on YouTube on some recommendations there which kind of 3D printer to find. My personal favorite is the Ender 3 Pro. It can print very well just out of the box. Most of the 3D printer come automatically with a bunch of tools like a spatula. Spatulas are used to get the prints right off the print bed. Then you got also some side cutters. Side cutters are always used when you are loading new filament into the extruder. Then you cut a little piece off, and then you have a little side where you can put the filament better into your extruder. They love it. Then, of course, when you are going to assemble your 3D printer, you need some Allen keys. I got here my own set, bought in a local hardware store, but most of the 3D printers have their right size Allen keys right in the shipment. So if you didn't find it and you have some right Allen keys, then you can start assembling. And of course, some normal screwdrivers. I've got here a very tiny Phillips screwdriver and also a flathead screwdriver. Further, I never saw a 3D printer coming without it, but you need also a USB cable. In this case, this is a USB cable, USB-B cable, but sometimes you also have a smaller USB connector on one side. I think that's the USB-B micro, something like that. Do I have a sample here? No, I don't have, of course. So, of course, when you are getting your 3D printer, it's good to buy a roll of filament. The best recommendation that I can do is go for PLA filament. When you're starting out with 3D printing, PLA filament is quite easily to start printing with it. Normally temperatures are around the 190 till the 210 degrees. For the heat bed, when you are using a heat bed, in some cases for PLA you don't need any heat bed. Better to get prints really sticking to your heat bed, it's best to start with temperatures of 40-45 degrees. I'm using always 60 degrees for my heat bed and the nozzle temperature of 210. Depending on which kind of filament brand you are using, which kind of temperature for the hot end and also the heat bed is needed. And then the software part comes. For that you will need or a PC or a laptop. The things you do on your laptop or your PC is finding a model to start with your 3D printing. Sites like My Mini Factory, Thingiverse or any other 3D model sites, they provide a STL file or maybe different other name kind of files. But those files you download, you put it in a slicer software. Slicer softwares like Cura, Prusa, Slicer or any other slicing software. Those kind of softwares make sure that the STL file is translated in a G-code file. A G-code file is something like machine language. Every 3D printer has their own way of talking with the components, and therefore in each slicing software you have to make sure to set the right machine settings for your slicer software or your 3D printer. And if it is all done, your first 3D print is going to be printed pretty soon. So to wrap up this video, looking for the right 3D printer you can do online. Look for a decent 3D printer that isn't that expensive if you want to try out 3D printing. Then also make sure to read some reviews before buying this specific 3D printer. My experience with the Ender 3 Pro, it's not such an expensive 3D printer and the price is quite good. Then with this Ender 3 Pro you will get different kind of tools where you can start with 3D printing with. It comes with a magnetic bed where you can print your prints on. Of course, you can always upgrade to a PEI spring steel sheet or maybe a glass bed. Finding the right filament, get your models from Thingiverse or My Mini Factory and use a slicing software like Cura or Prusa Slicer. And then hit the print button to enjoy your first 3D print right off your own 3D printer. This video is supported by these Patreon supporters, Tony and Shannon. Thank you for your support. You can also join by supporting this channel. Check the link in the description of this video. If you're still watching this video, thank you, you are amazing. On the end card there are some recommended videos worth watching. Please like this video, share this video with other people, and hey, let's make some fun with 3D printing. Zachary 3D Prints. Bye bye.